All right, go ahead about your reading so that we can get started. There is no bathroom at this moment. Please don't ask me for that. Wait until we get into wait until we get into me breaking you off into your discussion prompt so that you can answer your questions at this moment right now. Hold off on bathroom. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen of the slideshow that we're gonna be working with today. Great. So last class we began by reading the scenes with the proper inflection of our tone. We wanted to that we were using the accurate tone when we were reading to go ahead and portray the emotions that were given off in the text. We also summarized the second scene, and then we thought about Shakespeare's purpose in opening up the play with the witches and the battle. So today in class, we're going to focus on Act 1, scenes 3 through 4. We're going to go ahead and put that up for you. We are going to go ahead and analyze the relationship between the witches and the weather. We're going to take a look at a statement from Macbeth, and then we're going to evaluate it, and then we're going to judge Macbeth's growing ambition and characterize King Duncan. Take about 30 seconds. Just jot these down quickly in your notebook so you can have them to refer to. Great. So we already seen the plot begin to grow as Macbeth becomes more and more ambitious in the story. So we're going to see how he continues to become ambitious, how he continues to his quest for power and his just the actions that he take in wanting to become powerful and just becoming king, how it shapes him as a person. So, but today we're going to pay attention to particularly attention to the things that he does as his ambition starts to grow. So, really quickly, just to recap, what is a plot? What is a plot, Silas? Silas, what is a plot?
A plot is basically a series of different. It's like a different structures that help form a story. For example, exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution.
Nice, perfect. Great. So a plot is just a sequence of events that tells the story from beginning to end. So this is something that we studied in TA. So we should be very familiar with it. We have it copied down in our notebook. Thank you, Silas, for that, because that was going to be my next question. The 5 important parts of a plot that we studied, and we should be mindful anytime we're reading, is our exposition, our rising action, our climax, our falling action, and our resolution. So how can identifying these parts of the plot help us better understand what we read? These five parts of the plot put together, how does it help us become better readers? What does it do for us? Angelina. Yeah, I'm going to be cold calling the entire lesson, so we need to make sure that we're focused and we're paying attention because you don't know when I'm going to call on you. So please make sure you're on camera, focused, and ready to work. Go ahead, Angelina. Why is it important that we study these? How does identify and help us? Angelina. Put a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up if you can hear me and it's not lagging. Okay, great. Naya, take it from there. Tell us, why is it important that we study these? Naya.
Miss Phillip, can you please repeat the question?
I said, why is it important that we study these 5 plot structures? Why is it important? How do that help us better understand what we're reading?
It's important for us to study these plot structures because then it will it's important for us to study these plot structures because then it's gonna help us like know what's going on in the text.
Nice. It helps us when we're trying to understand what's going on in the plot, right? And so we understand the plot of if we understand what the plot is, we're understanding our story. So we use these 5 parts of the plot to just monitor our understanding of the text. We want to make sure we're understanding and comprehending exactly what we're reading. So we're going to go ahead and jump into today's lesson. So we're going to begin today's class by analyzing the relationship between the witches and the weather by examining Shakespeare's purpose. So playwriters, they always carefully pick every last letter and detail that they want to go into a play. So we can draw conclusions about an author's purpose based on the words that they use, based on what they say in their writing. So that reveals the relationship between characters, elements, plot parts that are not directly stated in the text. So we're first going to take a look at one of the scenes where we first meet the witches, and we're just going to take a look at what goes on in this scene. So we meet the witches in the very first scene of Macbeth. That's how the story opens up. So they make quite an impression upon us as readers as we're just beginning to read this play with mentioning an upcoming meeting with Macbeth. So they're talking about how they're going to meet up with Macbeth, right? So then they appear again in scene 3, and then this time they're meeting with Macbeth, but they're discussing what they predicted about his life. So I noticed that something really curious. Happening to the weather when the witches appear. So what is happening to the weather when the witches appear? The text is in front of you to refer back to. What is happening to the weather when the witches appear? Katie. Go ahead, Katie.
What's happening to the weather is that it's thundering, there's lightning and rain.
Yeah, so we begin to see that the thunder, it starts to thunder, there's a storm happening, we see a lot of rain, right? So a thunder and lightning storm begins each time witches appear. So I'm thinking about how is this going to impact my view of the witches? So I know Macbeth and Banquo call them the weird sisters, right? So what is strange about them, right? So first of all, they are witches with supernatural powers to predict the future. So how else does Shakespeare show us that they're strange and different? What are some things that they do that show that they're strange and different? Think about the way that they're speaking. How are they speaking? What are they saying? Logan, how are they speaking?
I remember them speaking in this somewhat. I don't have the text next to me because I'm on a phone.
And can you see it on my screen?
No.
Okay, we have. Is my screen being shared at this moment? Thumbs up if it is. Can we see the PowerPoint?
Oh, never mind. I can see it still.
Okay. So
I
think
can see
about
it
the way
now. Never mind.
Okay, great. Think about the way that they're speaking. How are the witches speaking?
They're speaking in some mysterious tone, and they're like expecting something. They're speaking in this way, like they're expecting something.
Okay. Anything else you notice about the way that they're speaking? Think about how they're think about the words. Look at the words on the last words that they're saying.
They all kind of rhyme with each other, and they make their own rhythm.
Right? Nice. They're speaking in rhyme, and no other characters we see throughout the play doing that. We only see the witches doing that, right? What does it sound like when we usually see them speaking, when we usually see witches speaking in rhyme? What do we usually associate with it? What does it sound like to us?
Because
Go ahead, Adeline.
Okay, so we usually associate it with they're giving they're saying a secret spell or something because they're witches
Right.
and they're rhyming, so
Right.
they're probably a spell or something.
Nice. Good job. So something that I'm thinking about as well is I'm thinking about how the impact in what impact the changes in the weather have on this image of incredibly and strange and just these different people, right? So I know that being able to affect the weather the way that they do sets them apart from the rest of the characters even more. None of the characters in the story has had an entrance accompanied by thunder and lightning, as we saw. So choosing to change the weather with their approaches attenuates their strangeness and makes them even seem more supernatural. So why do you think Shakespeare chose to change the weather when the witches arrived? What does it affect? I see a hand from Katie. I see a hand from Anthony. Dave, Anthony, we're gonna call on you. Why do you think Shakespeare chose to do this? What does it affect? Go ahead.
I think he did this because he wants to show like how much power the witches control, like because usually in movies when something bad is gonna happen, then like the weather changes or like someone powerful comes, like there's always gonna be a change, and I think he put that in the text to show what the witches are capable of. Like we don't know.
Okay. Nice. And it also shows a change in the tone of the story, change in the mood of the story, right? So I'm also thinking about how does this change with the weather? How does it affect the story? So I know from my own experiences, like Anthony said, with movies, books, and even real life, when you have a storm, it just creates this dark sort of mood. So the mood of a story is the atmosphere that the author creates with careful word choices. So how does the thunder and lightning make the atmosphere of this scene feel? How does it we are starting out with the thunder and the lightning? How does it make this scene feel? What is one word you can give me to talk about the way that it makes it feel? Lemuel. Are you go ahead?
It makes it feel like dark and dangerous.
Yeah, right. Dark, dangerous, something else I was thinking about makes you anxious. It gives off a scary feeling. So I chose the word ominous because I know that this can describe the scene with how a thunderstorm feels. So, when there's a feeling that something awful is coming to happen in the future. So I know that the atmosphere or the mood of the scene with the witches is, it creates this anxious tone, it creates this scary feeling. So I need to determine why does Shakespeare want these scenes to feel this way, right? Because he does this purposefully. So I need to think to myself, why would he want the scenes to feel this way? So I know that after the scene with the witches, Macbeth begins to become very ambitious about getting to the throne, right? And he starts to have this feeling about needing to do something unknown in order to become king. So now after the witches have revealed to him, like we predict that you're going to become king one day, he starts to have these feelings like he needs to do something in order to get there. He starts to have these thoughts and these ideas in his head. So we have no idea what Macbeth needs to do. But remember, Macbeth just called Duncan's son the obstacle, right? Duncan, our the current king, he's calling his son an obstacle. So he needs to get past Duncan's son in order to become the king. He recognizes that. So he's starting to become more and more ambitious as the play goes. So we see that the more ambitious he gets, the more likely he's going to do something. It sounds like he's going to do something to try to become the king. So now what I want you to do is, thinking about everything that we talked about, you are going to think about what did Shakespeare intend to do by creating this relationship between the weather and the witches. What did he intend to do? Just take 10 seconds to think about it and something down in your notebook. What was his purpose of having every time the witches appear, the weather would change and creating this dark tone and scary atmosphere for us? What was his intention? And when we come back, I'd just like to hear from Alejandro. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Great. Alejandro, can you tell us what do you think Shakespeare's intent was here? What do you think his purpose was? Go ahead, Alejandro.
What did you say? Your voice is laggy on my computer.
So we was talking about what do we think what did he intend to do by creating this relationship between the weather and the witches? Am I lagging for anyone else? Thumbs down, I'm not lagging. Thumbs up, okay, thank you. Go ahead, Alejandro.
I think that this for exposition because it looks like the witches are like giving information to each other.
What do you mean? So think about it. Why would he connect the witches with the weather? Thinking about the things that they're telling me to connect that.
Oh, because if you like watch movies and stuff, witches are like the reason for like bad things to happen. For example, like if it's raining, it's probably like a spell or something like that.
Okay. Another thought. All right, so we're gonna move on from here. So now that we've taken a closer look at the witches, we're gonna focus on the things that Macbeth, and the results that they produce. So after these, can I just have everyone track the screen so I know that you're with me, please? I don't know if my screen is like frozen, but some of us are frozen, or some of us are just not on the screen for me. Great. So after the witches tell Macbeth that he's going to be king someday, this is something that is heavily on his mind. He thinks about this subject a lot. So even at one point, he makes a statement, right? So he says, if my fate is to be king, the fate may crown me, even if I do nothing. So in order for us to understand how Macbeth is feeling at an instant in this play, we need to interpret this quote. So we also need to know how it is like and unlike blind ambition. So blind ambition, please copy this down in your notebook, take about like 15 seconds. I'm just gonna read through it really quickly. Blind ambition is ambition so strong that it prevents the person from seeing what is truly happening around them and diverts their attention from everything else. So blind ambition is something that can alter the way people see the world. So if we understand how Macbeth's feelings are similar and different, we can understand exactly what Macbeth's statement truly means. So what we're gonna do is take about the next 3 minutes to answer this discussion prompt. Let me pull it up. You are going to interpret Macbeth's statement, compare its meaning to that of blind ambition. So what is this prompt asking us to do? Okay, really quickly just share out. What is this prompt asking us to do? Angelina, go ahead.
So this is basically asking to find out what the statement of Macbeth meant and how it compares to the meaning of ambition.
Nice job, Angelina. What kind of ambition, though?
Blind ambition.
The nail. So you are going to interpret what this statement is saying.
Ambition, but I didn't. I was trying.
Sorry, okay. So you're going to interpret the meaning of the statement I'm going to pull the statement back up so that we can have it to reference. And then you're going to compare it. How does it compare to the meaning of blind ambition? So what do we need to best do in order to prepare for this prompt? What do we need to do in order to better Esther? Go ahead, Esther.
So what we need to do is that what we can do is look inside the text and find evidence that shows Macbeth's statement and then compare it to that of the blind ambition, see if it's different.
But if we want to, okay, so we want to interpret the statement though. What do you need to do first? If we want to
What we need
interpret,
to do is we need to look back at the statement and figure out what he's going to say.
beautiful. We need to look back at the statement. We need to reread it. We need to paraphrase it. Try to figure out what Macbeth is trying to say here. And now for the next part, comparing it. What do we need to do with that? Someone pick up from there. Anaya, what do we need to do with the second part?
I think that we're gonna have to go back because if we look at his statement, and then like we're gonna be able, and then take the definition of blind ambition, then we should be able to see like the similarities in between them, and then we have to use like textual evidence to show that they're similar.
Nice. So you're gonna first interpret what the statement is saying. What do you think I'm gonna say? And then you're gonna compare it. So you're gonna think, how is it similar and how is it different to the meaning of blind ambition that I showed you all? Are there any questions? Thumbs up if you're good to go. Thumbs down if you're confused. Great. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 3 minutes on a timer. I will actually let us work in breakout rooms for this. So I'll have half of you guys with Mr. Amador, half of you guys will be with me in the breakout room. So I'm gonna let you guys actually work on this for 3 minutes and then we're gonna discuss it for 2 minutes in our breakout room. So I'm gonna put a total of 5 minutes on the timer. So I just want us to, for as many people to share as possible. So we'll just split the class off into 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and put us into breakout room. So Mr. Amador, I'll just put into the I'll put into like a broadcast when it's the 3 minutes is up for you because I'll just set it on a timer, or you can set it on your own timer so that you have it for reference. But it's 3 minutes to do your discussion prop and then 2 minutes to share out. Sounds good, everyone? Okay. Thumbs up if you're with me. Thumbs up if it's good. All right, great. I'm going to open the rooms and you guys may join. Wait, it didn't put us into break. I'll assign you right now to 2, assign to 1, assign to 2, assign to 1. This one's gonna talk. Oh, sorry. This one we're gonna talk out together. So really quickly. But this time we're going to evaluate Macbeth's statement in light of its reasonableness. So what I wanted to do is just, think about Macbeth's statement. We're going to evaluate it. We're going to discuss it. And we're just going to think, do we think Macbeth's statement, for him to make this statement, do we think it's reasonable? I just want you to just take about 30 seconds to just think about an answer. We're going to do a full class discussion, full class share out for this one. Because we only have 3 minutes left before you guys have to go to enrichment. So just think about the question. Evaluate whether or not the same statement that we talked about earlier is reasonable for Macbeth to say this statement. When we come back, I would like to hear from Kiara. I would like to hear from Ariana. I would like to hear from Elijah. And I'll start with those three. All right, go ahead and start us off, Kiara. Thoughts?
I think this statement is reasonable because the fact that Macbeth wanted to be king like really bad, and he's saying that he's gonna be king. It's not that he's saying, oh, I might be king. He's saying he's saying that he is gonna be king, and I think it is reasonable for him to say that because yeah, because of his yeah.
Because of what? Because what does he do that you think it's reasonable for him to say that?
What he does is that he basically, well, I don't really know, but I just get this feeling that he's gonna like take it for granted.
Okay. Who was the next person I said was gonna share out? I think I said Abriana, evaluate Kiara's answer, please. Add on to it or evaluate it. What do you think?
I want to add on to Kiara saying that based on what Macbeth is saying, I agree with Kiara saying that it's reasonable because in the book, the witches were the one that told him that probably he was going to be king, and he believed in that because he got he had a throne already. So but he didn't do nothing in order to get that throne. So he has his belief in thinking that he'd be king since one part of what the witches said came true.
Okay, nice job. So I'm gonna wrap this up over here so that you guys get to enrichment on time. So nice job evaluating what Macbeth has saying based on the thing that we've seen happen in the text so far. So he thinks he's gonna be king, so we just have to keep reading to find out what happened. And if he does become king, how does he get there? That's an interesting thing that we're gonna be also about happening in the text. So today in class, we focused on Act 1, Scenes 3 to 4. We used these scenes to analyze the relationship between the witches and the weather. We looked at a statement from Macbeth and we evaluated it, and we were able to just come up with a prediction or think about whether or not it was reasonable. We're already beginning to see the plot grow as Macbeth becomes more and more ambitious to just become the king. So today we paid particular attention to some of the things that he says as his ambition starts to grow. So for your homework tonight, you're going to read Act 1, scenes 5 through 7. Next class, we're going to use these scenes to characterize Lady Macbeth. She's a really interesting character. You're going to see some of the things that she do. You're going to see how she plays a part in the storyline. I'm not going to spoil anything for you all. You have to read and out who Lady Macbeth, what she does. We are going to identify 2 new themes in this play, and we're going to just draw conclusions about masculinity in society. So like I said, as Lady Macbeth, she's going to become a key player in the text, and she's going to continue to have a large impact on the plot. So we need to understand her as a character to understand how she develops and contributes to the play as a whole. If there are no, well, I'll repeat it again, your homework is to read scenes 5 through 7 questions. If you do not have a question, you can go ahead and join your enrichment. If you do have a question, you can go ahead and stick back. I'll answer them. Have fun, guys.
Logan and Jessica. Oh, they already left. Okay,
No,
Jessica,
Logan's
we're
in here.
meeting. Okay, Logan and Jessica, we're meeting now, okay? We're gonna go to the other room. Vasily, you can stop recording.
Yes, I can.